About 4 games into my season, I started getting really bad cramps in my calf. 3 weeks after I became paralyzed from the knee down, a vascular surgeon started talking about how if we don't figure this out, you're gonna lose your leg. I worked extremely hard the next 4 months. There was not even a month left in our season, and I wanted to play. Hi, my name is Gabby Weber, and I'm from a small town in Montana called Belgrade. I saw EGT through some social media platforms, and I brought it to my parents ecstatic, like I needed to have this program. EGT really helped mold me into a more serious player through my middle school years. I ended up making varsity as a freshman. In just a few games into my season, I began starting as a freshman. I became an all-state player my sophomore year, averaging around 15 to 17 points a game. So I was entering my junior year in high school in my junior season, and I started getting really bad cramps in my calf. My athletic trainer actually had to tell me that I was done playing until they figured out what was going on my leg because they were getting so aggressive, they were tearing my calf muscles. About 3 weeks after my last game I played in, I became paralyzed from the knee down. I lost feeling in my foot. It swelled up to almost 3 times the size of my other leg, and they couldn't find the pulses in my foot. I had multiple ER visits. I was getting tests after tests done. A vascular surgeon and my primary doctor actually started talking about how if we don't figure this out, you're gonna lose your leg. And there we met with a vascular surgeon that diagnosed me with popliteal artery entrapment, which is a rare vascular disease. And I remember the first time we talked about amputation and how that just crushed every goal I had set for myself in basketball, but not just basketball, in my life. I went right into surgery, and he found that my artery, vein, and nerve were all being cut off. He was able to save my leg, patch things up, fix it. However, I woke up with severe nerve damage. My lower leg was still paralyzed. I had loss of feeling, and we had the tough conversation with my surgeon that I would probably never play competitive basketball like I was ever again. I remember how angry I was laying in the hospital bed. Not only was I told that my passion, my sport, that I would never play it again, that I would never get to step foot on the court in a competitive game again. After I got home, we started PT right away. All summer long, we worked really hard, and I was on crutches, a cane, and crutches again, and all that stuff. And heading into my senior year, I was then diagnosed with RSDS, which is reflex sympathetic dystrophy. Basically just a disorder in your sympathetic nervous system that causes an increase in your pain in a limb that's been injured. I had to go through another surgery. You know, I had that surgery, I got home, I was recovering, I was in a wheelchair, and I remember I was sitting in a wheelchair at tryouts, and I was just devastated because I thought, you know, I was hanging on to a little bit of hope that maybe I'd be able to play a little bit my senior year. You know, I worked really extremely hard the next 4 months. I remember that I was finally starting to get a little bit more mobile in my orthotic brace. One day, it was the beginning of February, I went to an optional practice. We did a little bit of 3-on-3 and 4-on-4, and my coach said I could join in and just, you know, play a little bit. And I remember driving in and going for a layup, and I fell on the ground. I made the layup, and I remember looking at her, and all of a sudden I knew, like, I had to ask my PT if I could return to practice, and I had to make this happen because there was, you know, about not even a month left in our season, and I wanted to play. I returned to practice, and not even a week later, I played in my first game back. I took a charge, and I drained a 3 in the third quarter, and it was the coolest atmosphere ever. There was so many people there, and there was people wearing shirts saying, guess who's back on the front, and Gabby's back on the back. And it just goes to show you how, you know, a community that rallies around you can really give you the strength and motivation to just keep pushing through the hardest days of your life. I finished out the season strong. I averaged 16.5 points at my divisional tournament. Ultimately, that began the process of me getting recruited and talking to college coaches. I ended up choosing University of Montana Western, D1 and the AIA. After my first game back, Coach Woolley, who is the coach down in Dillon, texted me and said, you know, Gabby, I'd love to talk to you about your future. And I can't even begin to tell you how excited I was. He gave me my scholarship, and we talked. And I said that, you know, I'm going to think about it with my family. And I called him back maybe 10 minutes later and said, you know what, I want to sign with you guys. And it's crazy because it feels like I finally have something that, you know, all my tough days are worth it now, because You know, I get to be a part of something incredible. I get to be a part of such an amazing program that I can't wait to get started with. I remember just smiling, and I couldn't stop smiling for days because it just felt so rewarding to break down barriers that were set miles high against me and odds that, you know, were not in my favor at all. Through my injury and situation, I actually created a nonprofit organization called One Day at a Time Athletes. The motivation behind creating that really was just simply that I felt super alone in this situation. I felt like nobody understood what was happening. I thought there must be hundreds and thousands of athletes out there going through injuries who must feel the same way. It's a place where they come and they tell their own story from their own words and their own view. Seeing their story through their eyes ultimately helps athletes who are going through similar situations find comfort in that story and realize that, hey, I'm no different. I can get through this too. It's been like one of the coolest things that I've ever thought to do. I can't wait to keep using the EGT program to help me through college, and right now I'm actually going through the Deep Game class, and it already has become a huge part of my life and a huge part of my basketball life. You know, I'm just so thankful for the EGT guys and Coach Taylor Allen, and you know, he's taught me a lot over the years, and one of the things he said that stuck with me was, you know, basketball isn't life, it's a teacher of life. And that was the realest thing that has, you know, ever been said to me. And after going through an injury that was career ending and should have been career ending, and I should have never stepped foot back on the court, I have a new appreciation for it. This new appreciation in the sense of I'm going to enjoy every single second I have on the court, and I'm not going to take a single minute for granted.
My playing level just skyrocketed.
Anyone that's serious about playing basketball needs to get EGT.
I would describe it as the best training program in the world.
This elite guard training program, like, it creates a monster in you.
You got to experience it. It's just on another level.
The best decision of my life was via the first EGT program.